now, let's talk about education because there are challenges with accommodation in various colleges of education in the country. According to the Colleges of Education Weekly Journal, most of these schools have turned dining halls and science laboratories into halls of residence. This is due to the lack of adequate infrastructure to aid academic work. The journal says trainee teachers are now forced to take half of the term's academic work via virtual means and the other 6 weeks via face-to-face lectures, what the schools call blended learning. Now, with the colleges taking degree programs instead of diploma, a lot is required of them to produce well-rounded teachers. This afternoon, we've put together the key stakeholders for a discussion on the infrastructure challenges and find solutions to them. Now, Prince Obing Hema, he is the president of Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana. He will be joining us via Zoom. Dr. Emmanuel Nyameche, he's also president of the Conference of Principals of the Colleges of Education. He joins us via Zoom this afternoon. Larry Agbado, he's editor of Colleges of Education Weekly Journal. And Professor Mohammed Salifu, who is Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, also joins this discussion this afternoon. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. I'll begin with you, Larry, because a few months ago we had discussions here on the blended learning approach and its impact on teacher education. You've been monitoring situations in all the 46 public colleges of education. What is the current state of the situation in the colleges?
All right, thank you very much, Aisha, and good afternoon to your good self and our cherished viewers across the country. Yes, as you rightly said, a few months ago we had discussions on the effect that blended learning is having on students in the colleges. And the blended learning is as a result of the infrastructure deficit we have in the colleges. Though they don't want to make that official, that is the situation we are faced with. The situation on the grounds now in the colleges is still the same. As we speak, students are currently on campus writing exams. We have level 100 and level 200 students who are currently writing exams. They should be done with their exams next week. They'll leave campus to allow space for their seniors to also come and write. Infrastructure, there's no improvement when it comes to infrastructure in the colleges. The situation is still the same. We have stalled get fund projects across all the colleges in the country. Most principals are even threatening that. I think on your program yesterday, you had a Akachi College principal threatening that by the end of this year, if the contractor doesn't return to site, they are going to abrogate the contract with him. So the situation is still the same, nothing new. But it is also good to note that there are some few colleges who are trying their best, using their IGF to help save the situation. So you go to colleges, for the past 2 weeks, I've been going around colleges in the north. You go to a college like Bagabaga College of Education in Tamale, Gambaga College of Education, which is very new, and they are doing so well. They are using their IGF to raise structures while waiting on government. So aside that, government has not actually done anything new in the colleges. The situation is still the same. And I think the earlier the situation is worked on, the better, because in September this year, we are going to admit new students. New students are going to be admitted. And the cry of all the principals is, where will those students be kept at if they are admitted? And everyone seems to be silent over these issues. And the current system we are using to train teachers, which is a blended approach, is really not helping. When you interact with students, about a month ago, we did a story. We interacted with students to tell us their experience with the blended learning approach. And most of them are complaining. And this is a process we are using to train teachers who are going to come out to also train kids in our basic schools. We are not against the blended learning approach. It's a very perfect system, but at this particular time, I think government and other stakeholders need to come in to address the infrastructure deficit in our colleges to help save the situation.
Now, Larry, per your monitoring, are the colleges making any progress with regards to infrastructure?
Progress, as I said earlier, they are actually not making any progress. You go to almost every college in the country, you have get fund projects that have been halted for about 4 to 5 years. Most of them were started in 2015, 2016. And when this government came, there was this news about auditing projects and all that. So the contractors had to hold on and all that. Until now, for about 4 to 5 years, the contractors have not returned to sites. So you go to all the colleges and the situation is the same. Apart from the few colleges that are making strides using their IGF to raise projects, you go to any college now and see a project being done by governments. I was at Akrokeri College about 2 weeks ago. There's a very beautiful project there, I think by Get Fund or so. But even with that, it's very slow. Very, very, very slow. I think a whole 3 or 4 story building, you get about only 2 or 3 workers on the project. And it has not even gotten to its final stage yet. And a whole project like that, you have just about 2 or 3 workers on it working at this time that students are going to be admitted somewhere September, October this year. So for progress, there's no progress when it comes to infrastructure in the colleges. And the earlier we accept that fact that we are faced with a situation that is very bad, I think the better for us to find solutions to them.
Let me bring in Dr. Emmanuel Nyameche. How badly is infrastructure affecting the colleges of education?
If you can hear me, I guess we are good to go. The situation, as indicated by Larry, is not the best. We are seriously challenged. And I want to indicate that, fine, it's true that we introduced blended teaching because we had a situation. We also had a situation of COVID. And so that also meant that we had to, as it were, observe their protocols. And so there was a need for us to introduce this process so as to ensure that we still have our students learning, whether they are at home or they are on campus. The problem would become terrible next academic year when we have all 4 levels on campus. Because in all the colleges that we have, that is the public colleges of education, we do not have enough infrastructure to be able to accommodate our students, be it classroom, be it lecture, halls of residence, be it dining halls, assembly hall, everything it's in short supply. And so there is a need for us to urgently address this, unless, of course, we still want to continue with the blended digital learning with the 4-year groups that we will be having next academic year.
So why have you been quiet about this, knowing well that we could get here?
I wouldn't say that we have been quiet. The process started last year, even before COVID, when the BEd program was introduced. And we have been talking, plans have been drawn, we have sent our requirements to get funds through GTEC, and I think that it was being worked on until sometime last year when we heard, unfortunately, that the source of funding could not, that was expected, could not be got because of a hitch here and there. And so it doesn't mean that we have been talking with GTEC, we have been talking with the executive, the Director General, we have been talking with the Minister, and anytime we talk, the assurance is that something will be done. But then now it has to be done urgently if anything ought to be done.
Let me bring in Mr. Hema here. Mr. Hema, what are the likely implications if these challenges are not addressed?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all your viewers, including all CETAC members across the 46 colleges of education in the country. It is going to have damn consequences on the training of teachers. because this infrastructure we are talking about, they are linked together. We are talking about where students will sleep. We are talking about classrooms that they are going to have their lectures. We are talking about commensurate furniture, which they are going to use. We are talking about effective science laboratories for the colleges who are offering science education and all of these things. And we are talking about serious pre-service teacher preparation in 21st century Ghana. In fact, things are not good and somebody needs to speak up. Like Larry Raleigh said, JoyNews, you are good at that. Pick your cameras, go around, interview the student, let them give the on-the-ground feeling or the ground experience of how the blended teaching thing is going. It is good, but we look at the manner of implementation. From the word go, we were told that it was because of COVID that we were introducing that. We all clapped our hands for that because our students couldn't have stayed home when we didn't know when COVID was going to end. We did that together with all the tertiary institutions. Now, when you go to all the tertiary institutions, all of them are on campus. And we seem to be hiding behind this. Government needs to take conscious effort to improve upon the infrastructure on campus. Because if we are going to have this characterizing the existence of colleges of education in the country, it won't be good enough. You ask yourself, even on the campus, why they are on campus where we expect that we'll have first-class IT, connectivity, and all of that. How many campuses have got that? To talk of the students who are spread across the country, some in the hinterlands where there's no internet connectivity at all. The fact of the matter is that nothing seriously gets done for most of the students when they go home for the period that they are supposed to do the blended teaching. They only come back to campus, and within the 6 weeks, tutors have to teach during the daytime and the night to be able to cover up for the period that they stayed home. And I think it's not good enough at all. So governments need to double up the efforts. We look at the colleges, we have a whole lot of issues. The colleges appear to be neglected with nobody speaking for us. It appears many people within our sector are interested in protecting their jobs because we are in Ghana. If you overly talk, it means you are not ready to work. So we sit down, keep quiet, and allow things to go the way they are going. But as gatekeepers of teaching and learning in the colleges of education, we feel like we need to paint the original picture as it is. As we speak now, issues of affiliation are still hanging. We do not know the future existence of the colleges, how it's going to be. Are we going to be affiliated to the universities? Are we going to be on our own? There is no document. There is no proper roadmap as to how the colleges are going to be like within the next 3 years, 4 years. And people go out, further studies, go out to further their studies, PhD holders. As soon as they come, everybody wants to see some improvement in his life, assurance. They leave the system, depleting the colleges, no conditions of service for the teachers. I mean, it's just too bad. It's too bad we are doing this to ourselves as a nation. Things very beautiful on paper, but when you get on the ground, nothing seems to be.
And there are questions about what internally. Okay, you are back.
To be happening.
Right. So I'm going back to you, Dr. Nyamiche, because there are questions about what internally generated funds are being used for. Can such funds be used to help bridge the deficit gap in our colleges?
To do that. If you go to Bagabaga College of Education, yes, they have a nice structure there, as Larry has indicated, but it's taken them 4 years to be able to do that. If you come to the colleges, the levels of fees paid by our students is not something that we can use solely for infrastructure development. Even if we do, there is no way we're going to finish this within 1 year. And we have other concerns too. We have STS, we have all other things that we need to do as administrators of the colleges of education. And so if we rely solely on our IGF, there is no way we're going to be doing anything meaningful in the colleges, because we cannot, within 1 year, put up a structure. And we need these things before the start of the next academic year. And here is the case that this academic year has ended. We need to start a fresh one. We need the facilities before the fresh academic year begins. And this is the situation where also we would get the money when students are coming in. And before they come in, there should be an assurance that they have places where they would have their lectures, they should have accommodation, they should have places where they would eat comfortably, there should be places of convenience, a whole lot. But I would term some of our colleges as advanced senior high schools, excuse my French, but that is the situation on the ground. It's such that something ought to be done now.
And looking at the situation, would you be able to admit more students, or would you consider reducing your intake for this year?
It depends on the roadmap that is drawn. If we're going to do a system where we call 2 in, 2 out, that is 2 badges on campus, 2 outside campus, then fine, we can admit. But if we're going to have 3 badges on campus, I'm afraid we'll have to reduce the numbers drastically the next academic year.
Larry, you've been interacting with students. What have they been telling you about the situation with, what they face on campus, and what the effect it has on the training of their teachers?
Thank you very much, Aisha. Truth be told, the system that we are currently practicing or using to train our teachers is not the best. So students spend a lot of time online as compared to having face-to-face lectures. And the students are not good with this. They are really struggling. As Prince said, go to the colleges, interact with some of the students, and you hear their concerns. They are very bitter about the system they are going through. Imagine teaching someone a topic like calculus. I think the last time we interviewed a TAC coordinator, you heard the concerns he raised. Imagine teaching someone a topic like calculus through online. How is the person going to get that? And is someone you are training to also go out there to train the younger one? So the students are complaining bitterly. In fact, when you take 10 students and you ask them how they feel about the system they are going through, you will get, if I'm not mistaken, you will get the entire 10 students complaining that, look, we don't like the system. Because they spend about 6 weeks home doing online lectures. And even those online lectures, they don't even participate in it. Most of them complain about data and other very good reasons that they also have. And they come to campus, just spend 2-3 weeks, write their quizzes, write exams. So most of them are not even learning to go out there to impact, but they are now just learning to pass their exams. And that is the kind of teachers we are training to come out in the next year or 2. And it is very bad. It's very, very bad. So the earlier we begin to throw the spotlight on colleges of education, identify their challenges, because these challenges, they didn't just rise up today. These challenges have been with us for close to 4 or 5 years now. But the only thing is that we've dealt with them so silently. As Dr. Nyamiche rightly said, at the point we even treat the colleges as if they are some advanced senior high schools. But these are fully fledged tertiary institutions now. They are more or less satellite campuses of 5 major universities. So we should give some priority and attention to them. We've had stakeholders. Last week we met the Minister of Education, the Deputy. They've all given assurances that, look, the past few years we've committed resources to free senior high school infrastructure and all that. Going forward, we are going to shift attention to the colleges. But when is that going to start? You and I know that if government should start a project today, it will take some number of years to even complete just a single room. So the situation is very bad on the ground. The students are struggling. They are complaining. And the earlier we have some attention on them, the earlier we have that kind of national discourse to find solutions to the problems in the colleges, the better.
Ms. Ahima, what will be the stance of SETA going forward if this situation remains as it is now?
We'll continue to speak to the minister the way or in the manner we need to speak. We'll adopt all unionized activities or tactics that we have at our disposal to ensure that we expose the realities on the ground to the people. The point we are making is that colleges of education are just like any other tertiary institutions we have in the country. You wouldn't go to UDS, Tech, Legon, UCC, and say that whichever number of students they admit, all of them have to be accommodated on campus. Why don't we need to have all the four cohorts on campus. Get the students who can be accommodated by the strength of the colleges to be admitted or to be accommodated on campus. The rest of them, let them go out there, rent accommodation, and then attend lectures. So that if we are going to see how the few lecture halls we have on the campus will come out with timetable, reschedule or redesign things such that we can receive tuition from 7 up to even 10 p.m. That will be fine. We'll strengthen the ICT or the internet connectivity on the campuses. That will be fine. So that whilst on campus, you wouldn't even have to be at the lecture hall all the time. You can be on campus, sit under a tree somewhere, and then because the campus is Wi-Fi connected, then you'll be able to receive tuition without necessarily having to use physical classroom. We are saying that whatever it is that requires to be done to ensure that we have all the four cohorts reporting on campus come this academic year or come next academic year has to be done. We reject this kind of identity that is characterizing with the colleges of education of two cohorts having to be on campus and other cohorts also having to be at home at the same time. We reject that, and we reject that today, tomorrow. We'll make all the noise, we'll make all the appeals, we'll rally for support from the civil society organization to ensure that government does the needful to ensure that teachers who are under training receive the ultimate in terms of pre-service teacher preparation, to be able to go out there. Who knows, these students we are training to teach your son, daughter, you could also teach my son and my daughter. So government, the ministry, they have to double up their effort. They have to make conscious effort to improve upon infrastructure on the campuses.
Definitely, as it stands now, something ought to be done, especially as we begin another academic year. But Dr. Nyamiche, tell me, what would it take the College of Education to, the 46 colleges of education to admit new students? What would you propose to be done immediately to be able to admit students in September?
As has been indicated by my colleague, the immediate solution would be for us to get the infrastructure that we need. Otherwise, we cannot increase numbers. Two, a system has been proposed where we think that government could come in to support private persons and organizations to do what is being done in the universities, the BOT system. That can be done. They just need the go-ahead from government to be able to do this. And once we're able to convince our students that they need, our students are not used to paying any fees for accommodation. But once we make them understand that there is a need for whoever is going to do these things to recoup his or her money, then we have the private persons coming in to put up these structures for us if government cannot do it. But I want to believe that government can do it, and the time to do it for me is now. Because there is this situation too, where within 3 months, structures were put up in some secondary schools. And there are just 46 colleges of education. You put up one massive building in each of the colleges, and I'm sure that it would go a long way to help us increase intake. Otherwise, we cannot. Some colleges have even indicated that they would not be able to admit any female students, and that includes my college. So the situation remains as it is. We may not be able to admit any female students. And for me, I have indicated it all the time, I would rather we took in more female teachers, student teachers, than male ones, because the attrition rate amongst the female teachers when they have left college is quite low compared to their male counterparts. In a situation where we cannot admit female students, where would these qualified female students go to? Some want to be trained as teachers, and we don't have the facilities, not because they are not qualified. For me, we have to immediately do something about it.
Something that we'll be looking forward to see government address, especially as we get closer to a fresh academic year. Unfortunately, Professor Mohammed Salifu, who is Director General of Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, was supposed to join this commission. In fact, he agreed to be part, but unfortunately, we are unable to reach him this afternoon. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining this discussion. Larry, you are with the you're editor with the Colleges of Education Weekly Journal. Prince Obinghema, he's president of Colleges